People have been making jest of Joe Igbokwe. You remember the guy who dumps, anything that has to do with the Igbo presidency. He so much supported Buhari. And it appears under this Tinubu's leadership, Joe Igbokwe is not finding his feet anymore in the APC. Because I've not been seeing him speaking the way he spoke during the time of Buhari. Anyway, guys, the recent demolition that happened in Trade Fair Lagos possibly affected Joe Igbokwe because he actually raised an alarm on the social media. And like you can see, this tweet here says, what is happening in Aspanda Trade Fair Complex, Lagos? If a writer is silent, he's lying. This one choked me. I'm asking this question because I am among the 3 patrons of Aspanda International Market, namely His Excellency Peter Obi, myself, and the late Senator Ifeanyi Ubah. Barrister Veronica Ndanusa, the executive director / CEO Trade Fair, was just standing there and speechless. So this demolition actually shocked him. But that's to tell you that he does not even have his stance again in the APC. Anyway, guys, a spokesperson from the Lagos State has come out to speak on why they decided to demolish those magnificent buildings that we saw that were all pulled down. And, his reasons are something you cannot really reckon with. I'm also going to allow you to listen to one of the victims who has equally come out to narrate his own side of the story, saying they got all the papers needed. And the shocking part is that nobody notified them that they were coming for that demolition that we saw. He said their own buildings were not even marked. As in, those usual mark that the state government puts on buildings, that their buildings were not marked. I mean, no mark that they were coming for demolition. Suddenly, they just heard that demolition was going on without them being informed. So, guys, when people tell you that it is becoming very risky investing in Nigeria because of the leaders we have, they make these things so difficult. It's all about tribal fight. Instead of fighting for Nigeria to progress, we are there fighting one another and then scaring investors away. Anyway, let me just allow you listen to this video. Let's start with the victim. Then you are going to listen to what the Lagos government has given as an excuse as to why they came and demolished those buildings the way they demolished them. Take your time, watch these videos, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now take a look.
Result of the exercise carried out by the Lagos state government, some traders and some investors suffered losses yesterday. As you can see, some buildings were destroyed, perhaps not completely pulled down, but in such a manner that it has become unusable and could even threaten the structure, or let's say the integrity of those structures. Well, we're speaking with one of those who was affected by that exercise yesterday carried out by the Lagos state government. Mr. Charles Ekunobi joins us. He's a business operator at the Trade Fair Complex in Lagos. Mr. Ekunobi, these pictures we're seeing on our screens are really, really tough to watch, especially if one were to put themselves in your shoes. I know that this must be very difficult times for you, but can you tell us, just how we got to this situation?
Mabe, thank you very much for having me. First of all, I would like to thank the chairman of stakeholder and the executive director of, and as well as the director of the Trade Fair Complex, sent there by the president for calming the masses down. You understand? First of all, we are there in Trade Fair for almost 20-something years. And the people that is giving us approval, you understand, is Trade Fair Management Board. That is federal government, Ministry of Urban Development. You understand? Most of the buildings you see there, my own in particular, have a complete document. And it's been supervised from foundation to the roofing level, which we are seeing now, you understand, by them. And after which the approval was given to me. You understand? So I was still on my bed when my staffs, I have staffs, there are many staffs and workers and the rest of them, both Yoruba and Igbo, they're calling me, Oga, our building is being demolished. I say, how come? You understand? So my sister, Mabe, I am still surprised up to today that a building that have approval can be demolished without prior notice. Nobody gave us notice. The notice I saw on the tele now was even right on that day. You understand? But that was to the I think the government building, the Trade Complex, the Trade Complex Management Board, Lagos International Trade Management Board, that people managing that place, it was in their building. They come to the government building and said, this building is not fit for this thing. They marked it. But on our own, you understand, like this one you're showing on the TV now is being marked at the government building, the one occupied by government. But our own, no notice. And it was that day they marked it. Our own, no notice, no nothing, no information. You understand? If Lagos State wants us to come and do approval, after getting federal government approval, we should start to come and get a state approval and get local government approval. We don't have any option. We will come. But they didn't tell us. You understand? We still are at our bed. Why they came in the night with talks, heavy talks, police and rest of them, to demolish the building that have government approval. You understand? My son was asking me yesterday, Daddy, is it true that they don't want Igbos again in Lagos? You understand? I know when you were celebrating that you have approval. What happens again? I didn't have any answer that I will give to my son. Mappy, please, do you have any answer? Can you give me an answer to give to my son?
I know that these are really, really painful times for you, Mr. Ekmunobi, but I'm just a little curious because this dispute between the Lagos State government and the management of the Lagos International Trade Fair has been on for a while. We saw some of it come up sometime, I think, last year when the Lagos State government, I think, was trying to, I can't quite remember what the situation was, but there was a major dispute, I think, which saw both parties, or which saw the management saying that they were going to go to court as a result of it. So it does appear that there has been some, some dispute over who has jurisdiction over the Lagos International Trade Fair. I do know that there are certain parts of land that were ceded to the federal government by the Lagos State government. But clearly, it doesn't appear that these disputes have now been ironed out, smoothly, and as such have affected, traders like yourself. But if you're aware, let me just ask you, are you aware of any previous dispute between the management of the Lagos International Trade Fair as well as the Lagos State government? And if you are, do you know what became of the initial discussions?
I think Lagos State is a government. You understand? Trade Management Board is as well a part of federal government. You understand? And they're being sent there by federal government. I am a private individual. You understand? I cannot mingle with under the affairs of the government and the rest of them. But all I know and all we traders know is that we are there legitimately. You understand? We did not force ourselves there. You understand? We was at Lagos Island before they invited us to come and invest here. Due to the love we have in our country, due to we believe that this country is one, and due to we believe, we come and invest. You understand? We come and invest and we stay there and doing business. In fact, what happened yesterday, behold, I saw my billions melting away. You understand? I saw them melting away. If they're having jurisdiction and the rest of them, if we masses, we are, without the masses, there will be no government, Malbe. You understand? So they should, I cannot dictate to them who owns what. You understand? But let them decide. You understand? But if I can show you now, beside me now is my complete approval. You understand? I acquired that land legitimately from government. You understand? Because since we have been there since 20 years ago. If you want, I will show you some of our approval, some of this thing 20 years back from federal government. You understand? So if state government come in now and say that they want to take over, they should do it in a normal way and let us, you understand? No. These are the things that touts do. Government should not involve themselves in that. But I believe, I still believe that Sanwo-Olu is not aware of this shenanigans that happened yesterday. You understand? Because if he does, that means we are nowhere to be found. You understand?
I mean, Mr. Ekmunobi, I mean, it's very heart-wrenching, and I can see the emotion on your face there. We are really running out of time for this particular segment, but just to encourage you and others like yourself to be strong in this time. You've lost a lot. It's not the end. You can actually pick yourself up again,
Yeah, please, before you go, I want to say one thing before we go. You understand? Thank you, my Kadila. I think it's Kadila, right?
Yes, Kayla, yes.
Yes, please. As long as we have our legitimate document from a government, we don't want to get involved with between state and federal government issue. I thank the government presence, the ED that was able to, and my chairman, trade first stakeholder, that was able to control the masses not to revolt. So people stood and asked the policemen to shoot them on the head so that they would die since they don't have country. So if our government is not aware of this, you understand, or if governor is really our general governor, let him come and look at the damages his people has done and do something about it and compensate the people. I will still come to the air and thank him for that. And that we will know that this country belongs to us. They should not try to bring the animal in people. If government asks us to do something, we've done what government asks us to do. You understand? We have never derailed or refused to do whatever government asks us to do. What is all this? You understand? The government should come to our aid.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time, and your words have been heard, and I'm sure the governor heard what you said.
Last week, the Lagos state government commenced the removal of illegal developments and defective structures at the trade fair complex in Ojo local government area of the state. The demolition comes after the Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, cited illegal construction on floodplains and refuse dumping as contributing factors to the Lagos floods. The operation is set to target structures without statutory approvals and those built on road setbacks and drainage channels in violation of planning regulations. Now, for a deeper understanding around the demolition exercise and the worsening ecological challenges in the state, we're now being joined by Gbenga Omotosho, the Lagos State Commissioner for Information and Strategy. Thank you for joining us and thank you for being here with us. I'd like to start off by, the official timeline. Can you provide us with that official timeline when the state government first identified the planning violations at the trade fair complex and what prompted the decision to act now? Just read us that timeline. When did you first find out that these are illegal structures, and why is it that you guys decided to act right now that these floodings have occurred, and that's what it appeared to be?
Yeah, thank you so much. As I was saying, when we saw the video that you guys played, it's easy for people to input their emotions and begin to talk about people's livelihoods being knocked down and asking the kind of question that you're asking: what was the government looking at before these edifices sprang up? Well, let me just tell you that as early as last year, state government officials, very senior officials were there. These guys were locked up and beaten up by people. Yes, fiscal planning officials. They were there to inspect what was going on inside the trade fair complex. They were beaten up and they were saved by the police. They had to call the area commander, call the commissioner of police before they were rescued. So it's not as if it's a daily thing. And then this year, the thing continued. And the state government said, okay, let us invite people for a meeting. They invited them to a meeting. They refused to come. And then the state government said, well, let us go in there and see what is going on. They went in there, saw what was going on, and decided that those buildings had to go down so that people should get some sense of orderliness.
Okay, I think it would be important, Honorable Commissioner, to give proper context and clarification to many of the things that people are saying, particularly those who are affected and those who work with those who are affected. One key thing that they have been emphasizing on is the fact that they do have approvals and that the approvals came from the federal government because in their estimation, in their reasoning, the trade fair complex and the compound, I saw that one of your men made that distinction between the trade fair compound and the entire complex itself. So in their own estimation, they're saying that this is a territory that belongs to the federal government. And therefore, the authorizations and the approvals that they needed and which they claimed that they got came directly from the federal government, Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning, they said, through the authorities of the trade fair complex. I would like for you to clarify, even though many people will know that even if that were to be true, once the original purpose for which land in any state was ceded to the federal government, once that original purpose has been altered, it reverts back to the state government in some ways, and therefore authorities, permits, etc. must come from the state. Is that the situation with the trade fair complex? Were you ever in talks with the federal government that they claim that they got their authorizations from, or even the headship of the Lagos Trade Fair Complex before it descended to a situation where state government officials were being attacked, and then they claimed that no notices were served, you just came in one day to demonstrate, high-handedness?
Thank you so much. You have even answered part of the question. But the thing to say is that there is a 1992 regional and urban planning law that says that the federal government has powers over things like security, but that in planning, that the state government has the powers to show people what to do, how to build. And then this is consolidated and reinforced by 2003 law, Supreme Court judgment, that says that states have absolute rights to grant permits and approvals over any building within the state, except buildings for defense, or the federal government wants to use the land and to build something that has to do with a national edifice and all of that. But whatever you want to build, whether the land belongs to the federal government or not, you need to get permit from the Lagos State government, because that law of 1992 is domesticated in Lagos State, and the Supreme Court has said that you cannot build anything without the approval of the state. So all these buildings that you are seeing there, they don't have any state approval at all. So it is just a matter of ignorance for people to say that because the place trade fair complex belongs to the federal government and that they can build in that trade fair complex whatever they like. So that place, they have done so much about environmental infrastructure, no approval or permit of any kind to build. So it's a laissez-faire attitude that they have displayed, which is the government is ready to stop because it is illegal. What is illegal is illegal.
You're absolutely right. What is illegal is illegal. But considering that the people who have been affected by this are probably the third-party buyers, in the sense that there is someone who they obtain most of these properties, who they obtain their properties from. So whoever the original seller or owner of that space, or whoever leased that property, or whoever leased the space to them, whether it's within the trade fair, whether it's within the homes, must have given them some level of impression. Now, my question to you is, number one, what is the duration between initial communication and demolition? What would you say the duration in terms of back and forth communication, and what is also the intensity of that communication? And then for the people who had their personal belongings equally destroyed, is there any form of compensation, or would it just be, is that just it?
Yeah, to start from the last one, there is no compensation for illegality.
So so do you at least allow them I understand that there's an illegality here, but for the people who have wares in the stores, are you saying that they are all gone? That
must be the fault of the trade fair complex management, because I told, apart from the fact that state government officials were beaten up last year in that place and they had to be rescued by the police, I said yes a few days ago, last week.
Again, back to the duration. What's the duration between initial contact and final demolition?
That's what I'm saying. The matter has been on since last year.
When last year?
Right? Last year.
So you're saying that, then, specifically when, please?
I wouldn't know the exact date now. I know that.
Do you know the month?
I don't remember. I know that state government officials went there and they were beaten up and they had to be rescued by the police. They lost.
So was there a consistent communication or intentional push to get these people?
That's where I'm getting to now.
Okay.
They were invited for a meeting and they said they were not coming.
All right.
And it was a state government executive decision that, if you don't want the meeting, that means you have drawn the line.
All right.
You want a fight.
My question is, you meant to the management. What about because again, the management leads the properties. What about the people who own the stores? Were there posters around? That's why I said an intentional attempt to communicate to the people who
Of course, they were marked.
All right. So
once a place is marked, it means that you come and rectify whatever may be wrong. And you all remember, all of us remember, last year, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the governor, gave amnesty to people who didn't have a building approval, that they should come. And they had to be moving the dates like 4 times for people to be able to get their papers right.
All right.
These people had that opportunity and they never took it.
Okay, so you have highlighted that this whole process took a year, in terms of communication and the warning, 1 year. But there were multiple agencies involved in this demolition, and I'll read them out. There was the Ministry of Physical Planning, Lagos State Building Control Agency, Lagos State Urban Renewal Agency, and the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority. All of these agencies were all part of this demolition exercise. This trade fair complex went up, and none of these agencies were able to determine that these are illegal structures. What does that say about, these your administration in terms of rectifying building codes, rectifying whether or not the permits are set? These are people's livelihoods. And Mr. Omotosho, you sit here and you tell us there's no compensation for illegality. What does that say about your administration?
You see, we have to decide the kind of society we want. One day you will wake up and see that people are building on Third Mainland Bridge. And then the excuse will be, they've been building since last year. Why didn't you put it down last year? Why are you just coming now? We have to decide the kind of society we want. Any society that does not respect the rule of law, that we put illegality forward on the platter of saying that it's about people's livelihood, I don't think the society will make progress. You should be able to separate livelihood from legality.
All right.
Otherwise, you will say people who are selling drugs have to run their livelihood.
Okay, for the benefit of our viewers and for those people that, had their buildings demolished, what was the process they were supposed to go through? How does that work? Why is it that they're able to invest all that money on a piece of land and not knowing that they're building on illegal structures?
That is the question we have to ask them.
No, I'm asking
before
you.
Before you build, you must have a building plan. When you have a building plan drawn by an architect who is qualified, then you bring the plan to the Office of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, and then
so
they
who
look at
approved
it.
that? Isn't it the Office of Fiscal Planning that
That's what I'm
approved
saying. They have no approval. They never contacted the Office of Fiscal Planning. That's why Fiscal Planning went there to bring down the buildings. They have no papers. Lagos State government will not go and demolish a place that has papers. If they do that,
environment and not have papers.
that is it. They have to explain to you.
Process, please.
Because if you have to take the drawing to Office of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, and then they will look at it. If they need to change anything, they will tell you to go and change it. Then they will sign, and you will go and pay, and they issue you a paper. Even when you want to start to build, you still have to come to them to obtain a permit, which they will issue to you after looking at it, and then they can be coming to check the building to see that it conforms with what you have on paper. So the process is there. But this is a place that these people wanted to turn into a no-go area. They want to turn it into a territory of their own that nobody can come and see them. And that is illegal, and no state is going to allow that. The problem that we are facing in Lagos that people should realize is that if we all continue like this, we will lose the state. Anarchy will take over. And then nobody is going to be compensated for that. Nobody is going to have it easy like that. If everybody is building and everything is based on emotion, you knock down a building and they say people's livelihood, and nobody is asking them that. If you are rich enough, old enough to be able to put up a building, what is in the simple process of going to the government? Look at my building plan, approve it for me. What is in simple process of obtaining permit to go and build? It's very easy.
So you're sitting here telling us that all of those people, none of them had permits.
If they had, the state government will never go there.
From Lagos State. But
yes.
because we
from
will
Lagos
have,
State.
I mean, we will have to speak with those victims, because, I mean, at this point, it appears that they might be victims. We will have to speak with them to be able to corroborate your stories, because I'm sure some of them will be able to provide some documents, as we have seen in the past.
All right, let me return to, based on, taking it from where you've stopped, and I'm returning to the first question that I asked, because let's concede the fact that those video clips are very hard to watch. See that billions of investments are going down. But then, of course, the position of the law is also that you can't build legality on illegality. So when you asked repeatedly that, are you saying that there are no permits? I'm saying that my understanding from what I've seen so far, from those who have been interviewed, those who are affected, is that they think that is a, let's say, is a no-go area for Lagos State government, because they reckon that it's a federal land and that the authorization that they needed, they got from federal. So my question to the Honorable Commissioner would be that if that is the repeated stance of those affected, don't you think that adequate advocacy will be necessary so that people can see the fallacy of thinking that if you are in cahoot with some gentlemen or some individuals in Abuja who claim that, oh, that place was ceded to the federal government, and therefore we can, if there was a proposal to say, let's build complexes, let's build all of that, they can give approval. Shouldn't there be advocacy to say that you'll be running foul of the law because the paper that you think you are carrying from Abuja will not save you from the demolition machines of the fiscal planning authorities of Lagos State, because it is from them that you must seek approval and permits for the design that you want to build and for the structures that you want to erect. I think that that emphasis is important if your government is not already addressing it.
Thank you so much. I would not want to say that, people were ignorant.
You are very clever.
The trade fair management,
Yes.
trade fair complex management, they have the powers to give leases, they have the powers to regulate commercial activities,
Okay.
but they will never have the power, like I have shown you, the Supreme Court judgment of 2003, to regulate building plan approval. So anybody, like I said, who is big enough to put up those structures, who I know must have lawyers and all of that, then we go and build without Lagos State government approval. I think it's very wrong. And if Lagos State government, all of last year, was saying that if you have a building without approval, come forward, and they kept granted everybody amnesty, and they kept on postponing, shifting the date 4 or 5 times for people to be able to regulate. And so many people came forward to regulate their papers. I think the advocacy you are talking about, we have been doing it and we will continue to do it.
So
but people should also try to heal their ignorance.
So you say
by
that
going through the normal process.
That nobody is being targeted.
Is there anybody in Lagos now, for example, who want to buy land and you won't consult a lawyer?
Ideally.
So that you don't buy.
Some don't.
Or you won't
You'll be
buy
shocked
any
that some
property.
do not.
These are very salient issues because I know that this is not the only location where we find this sort of properties, and there are even more areas that could fall victim to a situation like this. So I imagine that this push is still on to let other people know that they need to come and get this approval from the Lagos State government. So when it comes to the flooding, I want us to go into that. How would you relate this situation to the level of flooding that we often find in Lagos, especially specifically in the Lekki axis? You know, it's so bad, it affects homes, it affects businesses, and some residents have even blamed the flooding on blocked drainages as a result of improper demolitions. So properties are demolished, it clogs up the drainages, and then the water is not able to move beyond certain points. There are markets, specifically the Jakonde area, where there's been a lot of, around the Jakonde markets, where there's been a lot of demolition happening. It's impossible to go in there right now because it's a completely flooded zone, even as at this morning.
Well, the whole thing is a long process.
Okay.
You know, all of the drains that we have in Lagos, they are interconnected and everything ends in the lagoon. But since 2011, Lagos State government has been investing in the drains so that a drainage system that is sustainable, that is strong, that is credible, that can help us whenever nature calls the way we are having now is what Lagos State government has put in place. But what we do not look at is the human element. I saw some of those videos of those places that were flooded. And when officials charted those places, honestly, many of them are built on drainage channels. And like the state government has said, many of those will have to even be removed for all of us to be safe. But the thing is that we are too emotional here. The other day, one of your colleagues was talking about Lagos being a mega city and then saying that this kind of flooding should not have happened. The meteorological people have been warning that more rains will come this year. If the volume of rain that you should have in a month is falling in 3 days, there's no way we won't have flooding. But what the state government can guarantee you is that we will continue to work, and you will see it. That is not in all parts of the state that this flooding will continue for 2 days, for 3 days. No, at times 2-3 hours, it's all gone.
But that's not the reality, though.
Why it's not the reality in some parts is what I'm telling you. That some of those buildings I saw on television, they were simply built on drains. where people shouldn't have built at all. And at the day the government moves in there now, I'm sure that people will be crying. People say,
so are you saying other houses in Lekki were built on drains?
Many of them.
Well, some of those houses belong to government officials as well. Some of those houses belong to government officials. So do we demolish the entire Lekki?
It's not, you see, there are some that, okay, if we must demolish entire Lekki to save the whole of Lagos, Lagos is the most populous city in Africa.
Because so you're talking about permits. So are you saying that every single person in Lekki Phase 1, in Agungi, in Jakonde, every single area in Lekki, in Marwa, these specific areas, every single person there built on drainages? What civilians, government officials,
you know one thing that
so we demolish everywhere?
You know one thing that social media will not show you? They will show you some of the places that were flooded in Lekki, but they will never show you the places that were not flooded. People send me videos say, today's flood is very bad, though, but look at my place. So
places that were not flooded will not make the news. It is not important. Now, let us talk about the accusation by Gbadebo Rose Vival, who had said that one of the reasons for the flooding is because of the reckless sand filling of wetlands and all of that. I'm sure you saw that posts going around as well. How do you respond to that?
Well, I can see that Gbadebo Rose Vival has recently become an expert in everything. If people cry out somewhere that there's an accident, maybe a road crash, he will come up and say that it's because the government didn't build enough roads. So if he is saying that he's sand filling, what does he know about sand filling?
But what is your response to his
comment?
My
response to his comment is that it's not right. Government knows where there should be sand filling and where there should not be sand filling. Lagos is a very small state in terms of a landmass. So everything that is going on in Lagos, we have experts. People who are very knowledgeable about what they are doing, who monitor all these things. So should maybe an engineer or an architect come out to be talking about sand filling, you know that he's talking out of sync.
But he had videos. He had visuals to show.
Of course, you can have videos of sand filling anywhere.
Yeah.
In the world, in Lagos. It doesn't mean that sand filling is a problem of flooding or anything that has caused it. That is to show that not giving credibility to people who are working, who are officials who are supposed to be in charge of such things. When it's time for us to say, no sand fill here, stop here, the Lagos State government monitors everything.
Well, Gbadebo Rose Vival wants to be governor, and of course, he will take interest in practically everything that is going on in the state. So
and talk like an expert on everything.
It's within his right to complain, but of course, you are within your right to respond. Just like Tokunbo Wahab, who has given a beautiful response, to the stuff that you said are not correct by Gbadebo Rose Vival. I mean, that's the sort of exchange that people will want. But my question to you, very quickly, will be Onowuru Nshoki.
Yes.
Has there been any respite? Is there settlement? What is the situation now for Nshoki, so that we don't witness another, Alita Continua blocking the entire Third Mainland Bridge because people are protesting? Where are we on Nshoki?
Talks are going on. Okay. Nshoki is part of our urban renewal program. Okay. And you yourself, you are coming all the way from Third Mainland, whether the right or left. I'm sure you are not happy with some of the things that you used to see there. So if we are trying to rebuild the whole place and renew the whole place, there's no way people will not come and talk. But once again, it comes down to the question of emotions. You don't have to be sentimental. You want to be. The aim of Lagos State under Mr. Sanwo-Olu is that Lagos should become a model mega city that is safe, that is secure, that the world will look up to. Not the one that people want to bring down to their own level. Even as we are humane, we will continue to be humane. But people must learn to obey the law.
All right. That doesn't really look good for Lagos State as we speak now, because we've seen the floods and we are seeing these rampant demolition. As we wrap up, what do you want to say to Lagosians in terms of what you guys are doing with flood management interventions and the stoppage of these illegal buildings?
And all those who think that they are being targeted on the basis of their ethnicity. What are your words for that?
Well, Lagos State government under Mr. Sanwo-Olu is never going to target anybody on the basis of ethnicity. He has run the state now for about 6 years without anybody being targeted in any way, whether because of your color, because of your language, because of your whatever religion. No, it's not so, and it's never going to be so at all. People should feel relaxed. Nobody is going to pursue anybody. We are all Lagosians, and we are proud to be Lagosians. Then the flood management, we have so many contracts that are going on, and people are working as I speak with you. The other day, when it was so heavy on Odoyalaro Bridge, we moved human beings there, and within seconds, they cleared it up. So Lagos State is working 24 hours. But what is going on is a natural phenomenon. I told somebody the other time that in New York City, people have forgotten that cars are being moved subways were being flooded. It's a natural phenomenon in Italy, everywhere. Last year, the floods in New York. So bad. That's what I'm saying. When somebody was saying that Lagos wants to be a model mega city, I said, why not? I mean, when you have an act of nature, there is little that human beings can do. But we will continue to work at it so that Lagos can be safe, secure for everybody, and you can enjoy riding from here to Ikeja for wherever you have been.
The Tinubu's government just keep borrowing money. There is this headline on the social media that Tinubu is about to receive another fresh loan. They are destroying businesses in Nigeria. At the same time, they are going out to beg for loan. So when they bring the money in, they share it among the governors. You know, Tinubu is giving them big cuts these days. It's just a political, it all has political undertone. He borrows this money, he gives it to them. But when it comes to demolish, they demolish without any mercy. They allow buildings to start from scratch to the top without them coming to tell the people to stop building. Then when they are finished building, they pull them down, because it's all about tribal war. It's all about tribe. It's all about making sure the Igbos don't own Lagos. That's the interpretation. The Igbos want to dominate in Lagos. Go and develop other regions of the country. No, you will not. You won't develop other places. You want only Lagos to be developed. And then when people come to Lagos, you tell them not to. So guys, a whole lot is happening in this country, honestly. I can't just believe what is happening in Nigeria, the way these people, and they just keep borrowing money that they themselves, they will not be part and parcel of those that we pay it to. You know, any money that is borrowed today, Tinubu will not be part of those who will pay it. After all, he receives pension as an ex-senator, he receives pension as an ex-governor, he receives, the wives receives pension and all that. It is not their business on how you are going to be paying that money. And now see how they are destroying people's livelihood. The man that spoke said he has lost billions. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.